Hey everyone, this is Elaine Blaze, and this is the first of a free monthly masterclass series, Wildly Imperfect Masterclass series. And today is the overwhelm of perfectionism and how to get out from under it. I'm going to give it a few minutes as people join. Hi, Terry.
Hello, beautiful. How are you?
I'm well. I'm fantastic. Thanks for joining me. I'm glad you're
Um,
here.
Oh, I'm glad I'm here too. So
I
curious to find out what you're up to.
Yeah, great. Hopefully, a couple other people will join us. I'm going to give it a few minutes, but in the meantime, I was just introducing the series. This is the first of free masterclass series, and in the art of self-approval, being wildly imperfect. And today, I want to talk about the overwhelm of perfectionism and how to get out from under it. So it should be fun. I have a little bit of a different spin on what overwhelm is and why we experience it. So, question, what brought you here? What about overwhelm, Terry? Would you
I
like to get from this conversation?
I talk about working with people who are overwhelmed with everyday stress. And so I would love to get your take on overwhelm in helping um, my clients and also helping me understand it from a different perspective. I think perfectionism is something that I have really learned to let go of in many aspects of my life, but it certainly was there as I was a student and always wanting to get great grades and
Mm,
please my family and all of those good things that come from childhood, right?
yeah.
So I'm just really, really curious and I love your work. So that's why I'm here.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, I'm in the middle of something that is incredibly imperfect right now. On the boat, we have an engine that needs to be replaced, and it is an absolute mess in here. And I am learning to just breathe through it and not worry about it. But that for me, clutter is a place where I want everything perfect and in its place. And when it's not, it can really be overwhelming to me, or I can let it feel overwhelming to me. So yeah, I get that. So I'm going to give it one more minute.
Okay.
And I have several people that signed up, but I offer the recording, so they may just be catching the recording later. So you can hear me okay with these on?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Because I'm on the boat, everything's open and it can be a little noisy. People are getting things ready for the summer season here. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And if anybody joins, they can catch up.
Okay.
So I have maybe a different take on what overwhelm is. And Terry, I know you and I are in a Monday morning conversation group together. So I may have shared this before, but um, I really think that overwhelm is when we are living our lives in a way that is underwhelming our soul. So we tend to want to, in our ego, in our human form, in our personalities, we all want to be liked, we want to be accepted, we want to belong. And we've learned a lot of ways to fit in by being perfect or striving for some idea of perfection. But I think that the soul part of us, the true essence of who we are, really wants diversity, experience, play, joy. That's why we're here. And so when we are in a place where we're what I call ripe for change, so we're ready for a paradigm shift, if you will, we're trying to keep ourselves in the old way of being, because that's what we believe is the right way of being, right? To do the things that we're doing. We tend to, at times, overload our plate with things to do. We try harder and do more because things feel like they're not right, right? Something's shifting here. And when we do that, we feel that sense of overwhelm. I've got too much to do. I don't have enough time. Um, Life is hard sometimes, or it feels hard. And we tend to hold on to that. We get attached to that way of being. And the resistance in the deeper part of us, that part of us that wants to move to something new, to something more interesting, to try something different, to maybe even just create more peace within ourselves, is pulling us one way, and our old paradigm is pulling us the other way. And to me, that's where overwhelm comes in. And so overwhelm itself isn't a thing. Overwhelm happens because of what we think about the things we're doing in our lives. So I use a coaching model, a thought model that um, that puts everything that happens into our lives into one of five categories. So everything is either a circumstance, a thought, a feeling, an action, or an outcome. And in this model, everything that happens in life, every circumstance, all the stuff that's happening around us, like this boat engine needing to be replaced, right, is a circumstance, and it is neutral. It really doesn't mean anything. It simply is a situation. A boat, we have an engine on the boat, and it doesn't run. And the way to get it to run is to get a new one. That doesn't mean anything till I give it meaning, till I have a thought about it. And the thought I give to it is what gives me a sense of peace around it, or gives me a sense of overwhelm around it. So I can view it as an experience, an adventure,
Mhm.
which can put me in the peacefulness of it, or I can start to get into the worry and the frustration and all the thoughts about how much work it's going to be, and feel overwhelmed by the situation. So how does that resonate with you?
It resonates with me. I think we can look at situations and make them neutral. Like, I really do think that it's how we perceive them, and we can change our thoughts. Like, I truly believe we can change our thoughts about um, situations.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that in the moment when something happens, we don't feel something about it. I mean, when we realized we had to replace this engine, we had a real WTF moment, right? Like, oh my gosh. Um, and that's part of the experience, right? We're here
Yeah.
to feel. We are feeling beings. Um, and the truth of the matter is, it's what life is giving me. There's a great book by Tracy Goss called The Last Word on Power. And she talks about what she calls the universal human paradigm. And I'm going to paraphrase it, or say it in my own words. Um, and she explains it this way. When life goes the way we think it should, everything is fine, right? So
Mhm.
if we could start up that engine and drive this boat out of here, everything would be fine. When life doesn't go, or when life goes the way we think it shouldn't, so the engine failed, then we, in our brains, in our humanness, in our egos and personalities, we make either ourselves, someone else, or life in general, the world in general, wrong, right? This is wrong. But life doesn't happen the way it should or the way it shouldn't. It happens the way it does.
Hmm.
And that's our moment of choice. So when I hear people say, I have overwhelm or I am overwhelmed, I'm always curious. So what does that look like? Right? What does your overwhelm look like? What does it feel like? And if you could talk to and have a conversation with it, what would that sound like? Because it is really what we're thinking about the given any given situation that creates that sense that we are in overwhelm.
Love that. Love that perspective. It is true. We put a lot on our plates and then wonder why we're overwhelmed, right? Do we need to
Right,
be doing all of those things? Like, make it simple, right? The things that we need to do. There are some things I believe we need to do. We can do it with grace or we can do it with frustration.
right. We can choose what we think about what we're doing.
Yes.
Um, yeah, yeah. And you mentioned perfectionism earlier, and I think that a lot of that, especially for women, we tend to be the doers and we tend to put more on our plate, take on a lot more. We're the caregivers. And so I think this is an opportunity for those of us who experience overwhelm. I'm trying to be careful with my words. Experience overwhelm to really look at what we're doing and where are we doing things that we might be able to ask for help with, which can be hard for some of us, right? Are we doing things because we have taken on some responsibility that really isn't ours? Are we doing things because that's the way we've always done it? There's a lot of questions we can ask ourselves about the things that are in our life that we feel are creating a sense of overwhelm for us. Because we all have the same amount of time in the day. And some of us can manage what appears to be a million things and be just fine about it. And some of us go through the day feeling that we are always overburdened. And the difference is typically the choices we make and the things we choose to think first about what we're doing, and then the choices we make for ourselves. And everything is a choice, even continuing to stay in the overwhelm. And the more we tell ourselves we're overwhelmed, the more we just perpetuate that. Because every thought about being overwhelmed creates that feeling, that sense in the body. And then what happens is we take action in our lives based on how we feel. Our feelings are what drive our choices. So when we are continually in that overwhelm, then we're continuing, even with our choices, to perpetuate it. For me, that has shown up in my life as the do more, try harder, right? I'm not doing enough and this isn't working, so I must have to do more. I must have to try harder. Yeah. Has that ever happened to you, Terry?
Never. Never happened. I've never been overwhelmed. No,
Uh,
I love this conversation, Elaine. I have worked many years on letting things go and just being okay with it. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to
mm,
be all put away. I do believe clutter does clutter our mind, so I do love to have things
yeah.
clear surfaces, right? I do love that, but if you came into my office right now, you would notice there are surfaces that are not clear, and I will get to them, right? I will get to them. It was more important for me to go to a networking group this morning, and I really wanted to come and see what you were doing. So it's like the paperwork will wait. It's okay. It's not going anywhere. But that has been a shift over the years using mindfulness and mindset and lots of gratitude. I bring lots of
Mm.
gratitude into my daily life, which I feel has helped a tremendous amount, like being really grateful for what I do have and not worrying about what I don't have. So that has
Yeah.
been a major shift for me in helping the overwhelm. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Um, yeah, and I think all of that, worry, overwhelm, it's all connected, right? It's all the choices that we're making to think certain things about our lives that I have to worry about things. We really don't, because all of that anxiety, and I don't have to be overwhelmed about my life either. All of that is just creating an energy in me that is attracting more of that. And it's not ever going to create the peace or the harmony or serenity or whatever it is that I'm looking for in my life, joy, being in those, um, staying in those emotions, sort of perpetuating them, thinking I have to be in them, is not going to create a better life for me ever, 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 ever. They're vibrationally in completely different places, and one cannot attract the other. It just does not work
it
that way.
doesn't work that way. I
It
agree.
does not work that way.
Yeah, our
No, not
brains
at
are
all.
looking for what we're thinking about. So yes,
Yeah.
I'm totally in alignment with what you're talking about.
So, anything else about overwhelm that you give me a little bit about how you work with overwhelm when you work with clients? I'm sure people listening would love to know that too.
Oh, well, thank you. I really, I bring the overwhelm to like the forefront. It's like exactly what you said. What is overwhelming you? And how can we take some of those things off your plate? The have tos and the should haves and all of those words
Mm,
don't help. And if you're planning something, I love the word yet. Like, I don't have this under control yet. I am willing to look at different ways of doing things. And very small mind shifts have helped me tremendously. I love the story about like the dishwasher. I don't know if I've shared this with you, Elaine, or not, but I used to like be like, oh, I have to empty the dishwasher. Oh, I have to empty the dishwasher. And then I realized it takes 5 minutes to empty a dishwasher. And I'm like, all right, so now I make it a mindful activity. I use that 5 minutes to really like just be in the moment and be like, how lucky am I to have a dishwasher? How lucky am I to have the plates to put in the
mm,
dishwasher? And I change it to something way more positive than I have to get this done. Yes, it does need to be emptied, but I can do it, like you said, with joy, or I can do it with frustration. And I have learned with many of the things that need to get done, if we do them with I get to instead of I have to, it just changes the way things feel. Uh, so
I
I
love that, because that really speaks to the thoughts, right? The thoughts create our feelings, how we go and that inspires our actions one way or the other. I would take that one step further, Terry, and say, you don't have to empty the dishwasher. You really don't. It won't get emptied, and there's probably some result or outcome of that you may or may not want. But the truth is, we don't have to do anything. There's always an outcome to the choice we make, right? Like, I
Yes.
don't have to pay the electric bill. I really don't. I like to pay it because my lights stay on, right? And I
Right.
can use my laptop. I can charge everything up. But the truth is, we don't have to do anything ever.
Good point. Good
It's
point. Point
all
taken.
choice. And when
Right.
we get into the choice of it, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? And why? Right? Why
Yeah.
does it matter to me? Why does it matter to me?
Yes.
Um, because what matters to me and what matters to you could be two totally different things.
Good point.
But
You're right. I don't have to. The consequence would be my husband would do it, and I like to do it.
so
It's
there you
become a
go.
mindful activity.
Right. So there you go. You've turned it into something joyful, which is wonderful. And we can do that with so many things in our lives. But that I have to, is a lot of what's underneath the overwhelm.
Yeah.
Because underneath the have to is, what will people think? I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. That's all swirling underneath there, right? Who'll be upset about this? Um, all of that mind chatter that really is sort of baked into our culture, right? We want to belong, we want to be liked, and we've often, many of us, learned to do that. In the beginning, you talked about the childhood stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that we learned from such a really young age that we don't realize we're still doing it as adults. We're just doing it out of habit. It's in our subconscious.
Yes,
So
agreed.
watching those words that I am overwhelmed or I'm worried or I have to, really paying attention to that is where the mindfulness begins. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, paying attention to what we're saying in our minds, in our thoughts, in our
Yeah.
habits. Yes, paying attention. It makes a difference. And you're right. Like we have choices all day long. And sometimes they just become habitual and when we stop to think about them, when we're present, my beautiful word of
Hmm.
present, it is a gift to us, right? It is a gift.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think life is always working out for me, even when it looks like it doesn't.
Yes.
Or like it's not in the moment. I had mentioned that in my love letter today because what I've begun to realize now that I've gotten over the shock of needing a new motor in the boat is that when we bought this boat, we wanted to tear out the old carpet. It's stained. We can't get it. It doesn't clean up. We wanted to remove this settee sofa thing that's in here because it's very uncomfortable and it too is dirty. And we even found a sofa to replace this with, and we just didn't do it. Something said something was off. We just didn't do it. Well, we have to rip all of that out in order to get the engine out and back in again. So what a gift, right? What a gift. And that in itself is a place for me to just be grateful
Yes.
for what's happening instead of letting it be this overwhelming issue that we have to deal with. So, yeah, everything really is always working out, even when it appears that it's not. So overwhelm is a choice. It really is a choice.
I love that. I love that. And I love your love letters just as an
Well,
addition.
thanks.
They're amazing. They are. They're amazing. And I am in awe of the fact that you have committed to doing one every single day for a whole year. It's just
We're
beautiful.
we're
It's
up to number 164 today. So,
whoop, whoop, whoop.
it's interesting. It's sort of a interesting dynamic for me because I love doing this. And as I count the days, so I realize we're almost halfway through the year, and I'm like, ooh, right? Oh my goodness.
I love it. I love it. Uh,
So,
wow.
yeah, yeah. So, well, thank you, Terry. This has been lovely. I'm so glad you joined me. I hope to join
Me
us
too.
again.
I will.
And
I will definitely do
I,
that. And thank you for your time and your perspective. And I love learning from you.
thank you. And I hope everyone that catches the replay will join live next time. And Terry and I have mentioned my love letters. If you're interested in love letters, I will share the link with this video, and I would love for you to join in the Love Fest and
I
take
highly
part in that.
recommend
Well,
it.
thank you so much.
You're
All
welcome.
right, Terry.
Have a great
Thanks
day.
so much. It's great to see you on a Wednesday. Have a
All
beautiful
right.
day.
Yes. All right. Take care. Bye
Bye.
bye.